The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.
And welcome into your Game Plan for Retirement, where we are going to check in with your local income allocation coach, Ralph Grauso, in just a moment. But right now we're checking in with author of Income Allocation, David Gaylor. His book is about the power created by reliable streams of retirement income. And David, in your decades as a financial and retirement coach, you have noticed a couple things that help increase the chances of a successful retirement.
To retire successfully, Peter, here's the secret. You have to take the two biggest retirement risk off the table. The first is longevity, and the second is sequence risk.
Well, in this edition of Your Game Plan for Retirement, we will address longevity and sequence risk and how to remove those from your retirement. But right now, you'd like to introduce the listeners in northern Pennsylvania, from the Poconos to Allentown and the Lehigh Valley, to their local income allocation coach, Ralph Grauso of ASC Financial Group.
I've known Ralph and Josiah for almost 10 years now, and they've become very, very dear friends to me. I know their family well. We've traveled together. And I want to tell you, the people of northeastern Pennsylvania, the Poconos and Allentown, give them a call at 800-939-8633. Schedule some time to visit with Ralph and Josiah Grauso.
What's that time in the program where we check in with your local income allocation coach, president and founder of ASC Financial Group, for a retirement built to last? Let's talk to Ralph Grauso.
For millions of Americans who retire every year, the task of ensuring that your money is working hard enough to provide you with a consistent paycheck can make the job of working for that paycheck seem easy. Retirement doesn't signal the end of financial worry. In fact, for the majority of retirees, it's just the beginning. The assets you have built must be able to provide you and your family with financial security for all the years to come. That's why you need a game plan for retirement, making sure you have a plan and that your money is working hard to provide you with an income you can depend on. This is your game plan for retirement.
And welcome into Your Game Plan for Retirement, the show that challenges some of the traditional financial planning concepts and outdated conventional wisdom of Wall Street on building for a retirement success. We talk about the income allocation model that can provide for more financial freedom in retirement through a foundation of predictable streams of income. And we always check in with your local income allocation coach on the program. He is Ralph Grauso, president and founder of ASC Financial Group. You've heard Gunther in the morning talking about them. They build a retirement built to last. And Ralph, it's always a pleasure having you here on the program.
Okay, Peter, great to be here.
Well, I'd like to remind you that if you have questions for Ralph and the team at ASC Financial Group, you're welcome to be in touch by calling 800-939-8633. That's 800-939-8633. Now, Ralph, I thought we would talk about something that has become somewhat of a cornerstone of retirement planning. So many people are planning in this way, is tax deferral through contributions to our group retirement savings plan or employer-sponsored retirement savings plan. Now, I know that the 401k has a lot of advantages and that they can provide people a great way to save for retirement. But I know that when there's an advantage, there's also typically a disadvantage. And one thing that a lot of people do not focus on is the tax implications of their 401k. Or maybe they just look at these tax implications as an advantage when they're saving money and putting it away. In general, Ralph, most people are earning money and entering into an agreement with Uncle Sam not to pay the tax on that money when they earn it. And instead, they stick it in their 401k without paying that tax. And the agreement then states that they are going to be obligated to pay the tax on that money at a later date in retirement. Do you think that people are making a wise decision when they enter into that agreement with Uncle Sam? Is that something that in and of itself has some benefits or disadvantages, or at least some factors that we need to think through?
Well, let's look at it this way, Peter. You know, the advent of 401ks really started during the 80s, and we had higher tax rates back then. And so it made sense to take some of my money and take a tax deduction, not pay tax on it now, and defer it for a later time. But what has happened is tax rates have gone down and then it's creeped back up. And what many retirees realize is once they're retired, the income that they have coming in is going to be taxable. And so, you know, a 401k is not a tax avoidance, it's a tax deferral. And many people defer. And then at age 70 and a half, they are going to have to take, in most cases, a required minimum distribution. And that just adds to their tax liability. So tax planning becomes crucial in evaluating the aspects of a 401k, both now and in the future.
So as I understand it, not only is the tax going to be there in retirement when we make withdrawals, but those withdrawals can also affect potentially the Social Security income that we have coming in. So it may end up being negative in the fact that we're not just paying tax on one source of income, that 401k or IRA income, but it causes a secondary tax on the Social Security. And not a lot of people are really aware or have thought that through as far as I understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's, you know, normally too late when they realize that this distribution in the form of their required minimum is creating a tax problem.
Where I have a problem with that is that this arrangement, Ralph, Uncle Sam sets all the rules, and we don't really have a say in how and when we're going to pay tax. In fact, the rules are pretty strict that you can't touch this money until 59 and a half. Otherwise, there's a 10% penalty plus the tax that you would pay on it. And by 70 and a half, Uncle Sam wants that money that he's so far allowed you to defer and delay paying your taxes on, they want to collect. So they're actually going to send you a bill for a required minimum payment, much like your mortgage or your credit card. A lot of people retire feeling good that maybe they're debt-free because they don't have a house payment. But when they look at their retirement account, there's a lot of debt to Uncle Sam right there in their 401ks or IRAs. I don't like the concept of Uncle Sam setting all the rules.
Well, let's look at it this way. I talk about this in my seminars and workshops. We've got a client, Jim and Mary Smith, and Jim and Mary last year, they're in retirement. From his pension and Social Security, received about $30,000 of income. However, they spent $35,000. So they created what we would call a deficit. And how did they make up that deficit? Well, they used a credit card. The problem is Mary and Jim have been doing this for a number of years, and their outstanding credit card debt right now is about $190,000. And when I met with them, they agreed that, you know, we've got to start spending down this debt. So they agreed to take $385 a year to spend down $190,000 of credit card debt. So when you look at that, Peter, what would you think of their financial situation?
I don't like the debt, and it doesn't sound like that $385 is going to make a huge dent in that $190,000 debt.
Now, let me ask you this question. You're absolutely right. Would you go into partnership with Jim and Mary Jones in an investment or in a venture?
No. It doesn't sound to me like they've so far made the best types of financial decisions, like they've really thought that through very well.
Sure. They have shown that they don't really know how to manage money. Well, you know, here's the bottom line, Peter. Jim and Mary Jones is fictitious. However, if you add 8 zeros to those numbers we just gave, that's the United States government. See, last year we brought in about maybe $3 trillion in revenue, but we spent $3.5 trillion in spending. And so we created that same deficit, whereas right now we've got $19 trillion. And tax rates are based on that, could more than likely go up. The concern is, as you just pointed out, who makes the rules? It's the government. So you might be in a partnership arrangement in your 401k where the government gets 30% and you get 70%, but they can change that arrangement. And with $19 trillion of debt, what do you think the chances are?
I think that the chances are pretty good that that arrangement may change and not in our favor, unfortunately. Ladies and gentlemen, if that's something that you've thought about, or maybe you haven't thought about it, but hearing it concerns you, you need to come up with a plan. And Ralph Grauso and the team from ASC Financial Group, they can help you with that plan. That's what they do every day, is they help people make more informed, defined decisions with their money so that they can keep more of their money in their pockets and maybe pay less in tax throughout retirement. It's a big decision. You have a lot of implications with the decisions on how you are saving for retirement. It's something that you can make those decisions at any point in time, whether you are 70 and a half or above and already taking RMDs, or whether you're 45, 50 saving for retirement. You still have decisions and things that are within your control in order to help you control and minimize that tax liability. But you need to take those steps now in order to improve how much money you're keeping into the future. Ralph Grauso and the team from ASC Financial, they will certainly help you build a retirement that is built to last and keep more of your money. All you have to do to sit down and talk with them on a complimentary, no obligation basis is pick up the phone right now, and they'll help you assess your retirement savings and whether or not you're doing the right things. Pick up the phone and give them a call, 800-939-8633. That's 800-939-8633. And again, Ralph, the other component of the 401k question that has troubled me is that we are making a decision. We can either choose to pay our tax now out of the paycheck that we are earning, or we're going to have to pay the tax later out of our savings. And when I look at my retirement savings, I'd like to be able to formulate and calculate how much I can generate from that. And when I'm having to factor taxes into that, it becomes more difficult. So I personally would rather pay the tax now as I'm earning the money rather than out of when I take it out of that retirement savings bucket later on. But I guess that's an individual decision for every person that you talk to, right?
I think it is, Peter, but I think you also have to look at the concept. If I'm a farmer and I have seed and I plant that seed and I now hopefully get a harvest, if I have a choice of paying tax on that, would I rather pay tax on the seed or would I rather pay tax on the harvest? And so I think in most situations, we're going to say we would only want to pay the tax on the seed. And so that's what happens with a 401k. We're now paying tax on the harvest.
Well, more and more, these are decisions that are within our control. In fact, the government has allowed certain provisions, and many companies now are allowing a lot more flexibility with our retirement savings contributions, where we have that option to do tax deferral or pay tax now. The Roth 401k is becoming more prevalent, and the ability to take control of our money at earlier times. We don't necessarily have to retire to take our money out of our company and take personal control of it. A lot of people have the option to take that distribution and take control of their money and maybe have more choice and option at certain ages too.
Absolutely. In fact, I've been trained. There's a gentleman out there by the name of Ed Slott. The Wall Street Journal and Money Magazine refers to Ed as one of the foremost authorities on IRAs and 401ks. And I've been trained under Ed. I'm an Ed Slott elite advisor. And I like how Ed Slott phrases it. It's taking accounts that are forever taxed and making them never taxed.
Oh, that sounds good to me.
Especially if you're concerned about tax rates going up in the future, we have to start looking at tax planning as a critical part of investment planning.
Well, folks, Ralph Grauso and the team from ASC Financial, they are your local income allocation coaches for your game plan for retirement. You've heard Gunther in the morning talking about ASC Financial Group. You may have heard of some of the workshops and classes across the area. You may have seen the articles that Ralph has written, monthly articles. So, folks, you need to get this education for yourself, though, and make sure that you are doing the best thing for yourself, that you have the best game plan for retirement. And ASC Financial Group, they strive to build retirements that are built to last. And Lehigh Valley, Poconos, they are your local resource, your local income allocation coaches. So pick up the phone and give Ralph Grauso and the team from ASC Financial Group a call now. 800-939-8633. That number again, 800-939-8633 for a complimentary, free of charge, no obligation review and evaluation of your financial plan and your game plan for retirement. And you can also pick up a copy of the book that Ralph has contributed to. It is Income Allocation. It's a book about the financial freedom that is created through a reliable retirement income. So again, if you would like to pick up a copy of Income Allocation, pick up the phone right now, 800-939-8633. That's 800-939-8633. Now let's check back in with the author of Income Allocation, David Gaylor, as he gives us some perspective on planning for a successful retirement. Now, David, there are a lot of points in somebody's life when they may be ready, they may be motivated to finally make that leap and begin working with a financial professional. When are some of those moments that you see most commonly that people are ready to begin planning for their financial future, or maybe just make changes to their existing path?
Well, really, what I see is two types of individuals. Number one, we have the individual who waits for the big life-changing event, such as retirement. And maybe retirement's a month away, so I need to meet with a financial guy because all of my money's been going into my 401k. We've actually had phone calls like that, people who are just very, very close to that date, and they begin interviewing people. And then we see the people who are planners, and maybe 3 to 5 years out, they begin reaching out. So there's those two types of people. And then there's also folks out there who maybe they've changed jobs 10 years ago and they got their old 401k, they just threw it at Vanguard or Fidelity, and they're not getting a whole lot of help with it there. They're maybe talking to someone over the telephone, and that's a fit for some people, but I would highly encourage someone to interview an individual that is maybe within an hour of your home.
Well, David, you mentioned that you do get calls from folks maybe a week or a month before they retire. I assume that there are some things that are better to be done well ahead of time, and so there may be a reason for folks to not procrastinate so much when it comes to making that decision that it's time to work with a financial planner or advisor.
Ideally, Peter, I think at a minimum 5 years. What we need to be looking for is how much of you have saved right now, how much are you going to need in income in the future, and the more time that we can build into it, the more safe leverage that we can create. We're inputting a contractual guarantee. We can look into the future and know, worst case scenario, how much income we're going to get. But the more time we have to do that, the less money we need to commit to that strategy. So, let's say you're going to retire at age 65 and you're 59 and a half. That's a wonderful window of opportunity because now you do have access to your 401k. And once you're age 59 and a half, you can do an in-service distribution. You can take control of that money yourself. But yes, ideally 3-5 years, it gives us time to put a plan together. Now, that doesn't mean if retirement's a month away, that we still can't do that. We work with people who are currently retired. They might have been retired 2 or 3 years. We just put together a better plan for those folks.
So if somebody wanted to start a retirement plan for a long time but had no idea where to start, or maybe they've done some planning in the past but it felt cookie cutter, or they were part of a group plan that is not very customizable, those are also ideal candidates to reach out and maybe begin that search by contacting the local income allocation coach.
Ideal would not even be a strong enough word. Yes, those individuals should be the ones. You're in the 401k that has the lifestyle fund and you're going to pull 3% of your money. Something like that. Yes, the cookie cutter approach. We want to get away from that because this is an individual need. It's not a group need. It's individual. And this is something that needs to be built just for you, that has your needs and your specific desires, goals for what you want to happen in your retirement put into place.
Well, folks, whether you are perhaps a procrastinator, a proactive planner, or you just are looking for the reassurance that you can retire in style, and do it successfully, you need to have a resource that you can check your plan against to make sure that you have a proper income allocation for retirement. That's what your local income allocation coach is there and available for you for. And in Pennsylvania, from the Poconos to Allentown and the Lehigh Valley, your local income allocation coaches are Ralph and Josiah Grauso of ASC Financial financial group, a retirement built to last, and they can be reached by calling 800-939-8633. Again, that number, 800-939-8633. But Ralph, when it comes to our money, though, there's only so many things that our money can do for us. In other words, if we assign a job or a task for our money, we want to make sure that it's doing that job, but it may not be doing other jobs for us. How do we balance that in a financial plan? What are some of the goals that you see your clients wanting to achieve with their money, and is their money positioned appropriately to achieve those goals?
Yeah, that's a great point, Peter. What I've found is that many people, it basically comes down to asking the right questions. For example, when I meet with someone as it relates to their money, I'll basically phrase this question. Let's say at the end of the day, there's only 4 things that you can do with your money as you enter into retirement or if you're in retirement. Number 1, you can spend it. You can use it for income. Number 2, you can pass it on to your loved ones. Number 3, you can invest it with risk to the principal. And number 4, you can invest it without risk to the principal. And basically, that's it. It really boils down to that. And so the question is, what's most important to you as we move forward if you were to prioritize those 4 events? Income, passing it on, investing with risk to principal, without risk to principal. And what we find, Peter, in asking that question is that a person's feelings normally does not match their behavior. Let me give you an example. So I make that statement that I ask that question to someone and their response is, well, I need income would be number 1. And number 2, I'd like to invest without risk. Yet when we see how they're positioned, their current plan does not provide for guaranteed income or income per se, and they're taking an exorbitant amount of risk. So here again, their behavior does not match their feelings.
Ralph, do you feel that may be a result in some capacity, a result of the fact that our financial needs change during the course of our lives, yet we are trained and we are told by the powers that be, by Wall Street, by our brokers or financial advisors to just stay the course, and maybe that is not always the most appropriate course of action for us?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Again, I think that many financial advisors or brokers might be the greatest people around, but I'm not sure they're asking the right questions that are germane to folks that are entering retirement or nearing retirement. And it's asking the right questions to identify, is their plan going to fulfill their objectives?
Well, I have personally seen a lot of instances where I didn't feel the right questions were being asked. And I'll give a personal example here. My mom, when she was dealing with a planner and she was planning for her retirement, the planner that she had been dealing with never even talked to her, never approached the conversation about Social Security and how to effectively claim and maximize her Social Security benefits. And when I was talking with her, I said, well, Mom, that's going to be an important part of your financial plan for retirement, right? And she agreed that, yes, absolutely, Social Security is a big component of her retirement plan. And I said, well, if the broker or advisor that you have been working with hasn't even approached that topic in that discussion, what other important questions might he be missing? And I think at that moment, kind of a light bulb went off that needs and times change and evolve. And we deal with different financial situations and different goals and objectives as our life situation changes. And Ralph, that's one thing that I think not a lot of people are getting the right guidance. Not a lot of people, unfortunately, are asking or are being asked the right questions there, to your point.
Yeah, and Peter, I think a lot of times, again, many people are making these financial decisions, and they're making decisions based on incomplete information, or they're basing decisions based on sales hype or myths or misconceptions. And here again, that's why getting all of the information before you make any type of decisions is absolutely crucial, and asking the right questions. Many of these advisors work with a variety of people in different various stages of their life. And I find more and more people are sitting down with me that are 70 years old, and they have the portfolio of a 35-year-old. And when this next market crash happens, and I believe with everything that's within me, it will happen again, their retirement's going to be devastated.
Well, scratching beneath the surface, here is what I have found to be one of the dirty little untold secrets, is that oftentimes the advice that people are receiving to just stay the course, to stay invested, is a result of the way that the financial planner or advisor is going to be compensated. In other words, Ralph, have you seen that if people were to change the way that they were invested and maybe meet those goals of income and investing without risk, that the financial advisor might take a pay cut? And if that is the case, is there an inherent conflict of interest with the advice that a lot of people are receiving?
Yeah, I think that's why, Peter, we chose as a firm to be fiduciaries. And again, a fiduciary must, by law, work in the best interest of their clients, put their clients' interest before themselves, so that there isn't that conflict going on there. Secondly, as a financial advisory firm, we've chosen to be independent. We're not beholden to any company or organization, and no one tells us what we can and cannot do in terms of recommendation and implementing plans for our clients. And so I think independence becomes a big criteria in whether that financial advisor is going to be working for me or is he working for the company.
Well, I think that these are important questions. That term fiduciary, that's a term that maybe not everybody is aware of or has heard of, but certainly needs to be familiar with. And in fact, recent laws and regulations have passed that I think will make that a much more common and well-known term, because the question of whose best interest are financial plans being put together in, that's an important question. And it is, again, one of the questions that maybe people aren't asking or aren't told that they need to be asking. So, Ralph, I know that your group, ASC Financial Group, has been ahead of that curve with that fiduciary standard, and your independence in putting your client's best interest first is so important. And folks, if that's the type of approach that you envision to have with your financial plan and your relationship with your broker or advisor, and maybe feel like you aren't getting, or just would like a checkup to make sure you are receiving guidance that is in your best interest, pick up the phone and give the team from ASC Financial Group a call. They are willing to sit down with you or discuss with you on a complimentary, no obligation basis, free of charge, your current plan. They'll go through a review and evaluation with you that will indicate if you are in need of changes or more full-blown financial planning, and they can certainly help you set your income allocation and your game plan for retirement on the correct trajectory. They'll help you analyze things such as the fees that you are paying, the taxes that you may be liable for. What about inflation in the future? Should you be doing things differently with your investments to minimize risk or better achieve your financial goals? And maybe most importantly, that income allocation. What type of income are you going to need to be able to generate in order to have a more stable and predictable, enjoyable retirement? These are the important questions, folks, that you need answers to, and Ralph Grauso and the team from ASC Financial Group can help you answer those questions. 800-939-8633 is the number to call. Again, that's 800-939-8633 for a complimentary, free of charge, no obligation review and evaluation of your financial plan and your game plan for retirement. And you can also pick up a copy of the book that Ralph has contributed to. It is Income Allocation. It's a book about the financial freedom that is created through a reliable retirement income. So again, if you would like to pick up a copy of Income Allocation, pick up the phone right now, 800-939-8633. That's 800-939-8633. And time always flies by here on the program, as it does in life, Ralph. People need to be thinking about the future, because the future will be here before we know it, won't it?
Absolutely, Peter.
All right,
Now's the time to plan.
Now is the time to plan. Pick up the phone, get your plan in order, get your game plan for retirement set so you can live life on your terms and have a more relaxing, enjoyable retirement. Again, the number to contact Ralph Grauso and the team from ASC Financial Group, 800-939-8633. That's 800-939-8633. We're all out of time here for this week on Your Game Plan for Retirement, but we'll talk to you next week.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor. Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group is solely an indication that the financial advisor has attended training provided by Ed Slott and Company, passed biannual examinations on material covered at conferences and in webinars, and met other membership requirements, and does not constitute an endorsement of any kind. Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group members pay a fee for the educational programs that allow them to be included in the Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group. Membership does not guarantee investment success. Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services. Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.